Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a new video, and as you can see we're going to talk about rigging a weapon. In this case I'm talking about a crossbow for my game. There are three ways of animating a weapon, or maybe more, but I'm going to talk about three ones. One would be having all the parts as a separate mesh that you can just animate by moving forward or rotating, which is okay, but you end up with like 16 different meshes, which is super inefficient when it comes to a game engine. The second way would be using blend shapes, which is fine, but you lose control over it, because if you want to add like a certain animation, then you actually need to make a new blend shape and plug it in, and then it's a little bit tedious and it's not really, it doesn't give you that much freedom. And the third way that we're gonna do is just using joints to actually rig, like hardcore rig, the actual mesh. In this case I've got a single mesh over here. And the reason why is because it's sufficient, right? In the game engine you only have one mesh to render, so it's only one draw call. It's more efficient than having like 16 different meshes, so that's why I've done a single mesh. Downside though is that you have to skin it. That can be a little bit tedious, but since it's all hard surface objects except for maybe the actual part over here, it's not that difficult, because you could simply just flood the actual vertices that you need to actually set the weights properly. So let's talk about this rigging. I'm just going to walk you through it. It's a little bit easier instead of explaining it. So the first thing I want to do is make a new layer here, so I'm going to be a little bit more neat. I'm going to make it yellow, greenish. That's good. So where do you start? It doesn't really matter, to be honest. You just start somewhere, the part that you prefer. I'm going to start with the actual chain here, the actual bow itself that will bend. I'm going to go top view here. I'm going to create a joint here, and I'm just going to look at where to start, so roughly around here. And then I'm actually going to go, not all the edge loops here, but most of them. So I'm gonna go like here, maybe well, actually let's do all of them for now, like this. And over here, this is gonna be a simple IK system, a little bit easier. And then one more, doesn't have to be that exact, to be honest. I'm just gonna stop around here. I'm just gonna stop there. Let's align this as well with the actual side view. Roughly in the center of it would be nice. It doesn't have to be exact though, but roughly in the center. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit and see where it is. Like, I'm gonna place it here. Good enough, right? Now, also, of course, you make sure that you name your joints. In this case is right. I'm gonna call this joint, and I'm gonna call this bow 1. Then I'll go down in the hierarchy to 3. The fun part, right? Not really, but it has to be done, otherwise you can't tell when you actually start skinning that you have no idea which part is which part. So make sure that you name your stuff. It makes your life easier as well, but also for those if you're part of a team. Did I already have 9? No. If you're part of a team, that you also want to avoid that people get confused. I think I forgot one here. I'll just check. Yeah, I got 2 9s here. That's what I thought. Again, if you're part of a team, you want to make your life, the life of your colleagues, also a little bit easier, so they don't get confused with your naming conventions or not naming anything at all. So that's step 1. So we have a joint here. I'm going to add it immediately to my rig layer here, so it also gets a nice color. I'm just going to do one side, and then I'm going to mirror it where it's even possible. So the string though is a little bit trickier. I just want to have one single joint, right? That I'm going to scale at some point. Then I'm going to make I'm going to make it stretch. So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna find it where it actually starts. It's around here-ish, all the way down here, and it ends there. Okay, same thing here. This is also right. I'm gonna call this joint, and this is gonna be string 1. I don't know the actual name of it, but it probably sounds epic, but I'm just gonna keep it at this. Again, make sure that you actually align it with the actual mesh, would be nice. There we go. So these are the easy ones, right? So let's go now a little bit more deeper. So also want to have this part here able to rotate. This part over here. This should also rotate. This should also rotate. The trigger should rotate. This is like a sled here that will actually go forward toward the actual entrance of the arrow, if that's what it's called. I don't know. So we got to add a little bit more joints here. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm just going to go to my front view here. I'm just going to roughly try to find the actual center. Probably here-ish. I'm gonna go all the way outside of it. Let's actually snap it a little bit easier, and also snap it here as well. So hold V to snap it. There we go. Same thing here, right view. Actually doesn't align at all. That's annoying. There we go. And here as well, just gonna snap it to the actual, I think it's here. There we go. Also make it a lot bigger, because this is a big object to rotate. I'm gonna make the joint bigger as well. It's just a little bit easier for me to actually visualize it where I should actually do this. There we go. So I just want to be able to rotate this in all directions. Oh, I should probably, yeah. So same thing here for the trigger. I'm gonna go to my front view here. I'm gonna add a trigger joint here. I'm just gonna find out, okay, where do I actually want to be able to rotate this joint or this actual trigger, like roughly around here-ish. Just want to have like one joint here. That's fine. That's all you need, to be honest. Also find the trigger center here as well, like there-ish. Should also name my stuff again. I apologize. Now, since this is in the middle, I'm just gonna call it joint. Ammo retainer. I don't know what's called. 1, and of course 2. Same here for a trigger. So I'm gonna call this joint trigger 1 and 2. Same thing here. Add it to the actual layer here. Now these ones are a little bit different, right? Because it's just a single object. So I'm also going to add only one single joint here. So I'm going to add one joint and that's it. I'm going to find the center of it. I'm going to snap it and that's it. That's all I want to do for this one. So I'm going to make sure that doesn't crash. There we go. My Maya is being really slow for some reason, and this is good enough. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Wow, it's really slow. Wow. And a little bigger, so again it's just easier for me to visualize it. This is the left side. I don't know why I did it on this side, but it's fine. This is the I'm gonna call it spinner, because this will just rotate around the actual axis, and this one here as well. So I'm again front view. I'm gonna add a joint here, snap it, and doesn't really matter where it ends though, as long as my pivot point is correct. In this case I want to be able to rotate around this angle here, so like that screw thingy over there. I just want to have it like that again. And let's go to right view here, make sure it's aligned properly. Where are you? There you are. I think it's okay actually. Yeah, just gonna leave it there. Again, left ammo dot reload mechanism. I don't know. I'm just gonna call it mech. Again, joint. Oh, this is 1, and then we have 2. Same thing here. Make sure you actually add it to the layer. There we go. Anything else I need to have this one over here as well, that sled thingy over there. So I'm gonna go to my front view again, and it starts here, like here-ish. I'm gonna go all the way back, find the end of it. There it is. And again, snap. See if it's aligned properly. It's not really aligned properly. It's okay. I'm gonna just go here. It doesn't have to be exact, right? The actual alignment doesn't have to be perfect. So I don't care. It just has to move, right? It doesn't have to like deform or anything. This is gonna be ammo sled. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna call it ammo sled. I don't know if I actually spell properly, but it's fine. Again, over here. Okay, what else do we need? I think that's pretty much it. So look, yeah, of course we need one giant bone, right? The actual parent joint. So I'm gonna go to my front view. I'm gonna see, okay, where does my weapon like pivot around? In this case, it probably around here, right? Because this is the part that you actually hold it, the hand. So I'm gonna put it a little back here, something like here. And again, I'm just gonna push it there and just all the way down. I'm gonna make a huge though, since this is gonna be the parent joint. Oh. Again, I'm gonna make it big. So this is the main joint that will actually be the parent of all the other joints. I'm gonna call this main, and then 1 and 2. Oh, 2. Okay. So now, usually you would start parenting things together, right? So you make this like a child of this object over here. But I don't want to do that because it will get like messy at some point, because you get so many joints that you can't see them anymore because they're all so close together. So I want to do a different method. What I want to do is I want to use locators, right? So I'm just going to grab a locator over here. I'm just going to align them, for example, with this one over here, with the ammo container rotate thingy. So I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm gonna hide my geometry for a second here. I can actually align it properly a little bit better here. There we go. This is still not properly though, I think. Is this aligned? Okay. Yeah, it is. Okay. So I just want to leave it here, right? That's it. So I don't. You can give them a name if you want to. You can like call this a locator, then ammo retainer. If you want to be neat, you can do that. That's fine. Also gonna add as well to the actual rigging layer, and then in my outliner I'm just gonna do stuff like this, right? So my joint over here should be a child of my ammo retainer locator. So I'm gonna hold mouse button 3 and just gonna drag it under there. There we go. So now I can rotate this object over here, and you get the actual spinning of the actual object. So I'm gonna do the same thing for a lot of stuff. So same thing over here, for example, for this one, for the spinner. I'm gonna add it here. I'm gonna make it a lot smaller. Here, and I'm gonna wait though a little bit for the actual parenting. So I'm gonna grab it here again. I'm gonna call this lock. Let's call this left lock spinner. The reason why I want to wait a little bit, because I first need to, of course, mirror my joints where I need to. So in this case, I'm going to turn on geo again. I'm going to find, okay, what do I actually need to mirror? Quadrats. I'm going to start with this one over here. I'm going to go to my rigging skeleton mirror joints. Options here. Then right, the R underscore should be replaced with an L underscore. And then you can hit mirror and done. Let's see if actually everything correct. The first one is probably called 10, right? This one over here, the first joint. I hope I can find it again. Come on, there you go. So left joint, just make sure that everything is correct, right? So in this case 1, that's fine. It can happen though it turns into a 10, for example, then you have to make sure that you actually change that value. Obviously, makes perfect sense. Same thing here. So I'm gonna go here, skeleton mirror joint, make sure it's correctly. There we go. You might occasionally want to make sure that it's actually aligned okay. In this case, I think it is okay. That's fine. This one is a little bit off though, you can see. You can see that it's actually starts deviating from the middle line. So I'm gonna find it, the end over here. I'm just gonna make sure it's actually aligned properly. Maybe same one for this one as well. This one is okay though, yeah. So sometimes it doesn't align up okay. So just make sure that you do go in there manually and just change whatever you need to change. This should also be mirrored here, the actual spinner. So I'm going to do the same thing here, but I'm going to change my prefix to left underscore to right underscore replace. Then I can mirror it. That's okay. Same thing here. Skeleton mirror joints, and there we go. That's pretty much it for the actual joints, right? It's not that complicated, but the setup gets a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to go here again with my spinner. I'm going to find my joint spinner here and just going to again drag it under there so we can actually now rotate this actual object. It's perfect. Same thing the one here as well for the actual ammo thingy. Again, I'm going to make a locator here. I'm going to make sure it's a lot smaller than it should be. Zoom in, and again we're just going to align it with the actual joint. Again, turn on geo so we can actually align it properly. There we go. So again, left locator, ammo, what did I call this thing? I forgot. Reload mechanism. Okay. Reload mech. Perfect. So we're going to find the actual objects here. So that one should be under that one. There we go. Again, I'm going to add it to the actual appropriate layer. There we go. Perfect. I'm not going to do it with these ones though, because I'm going to use an IK for this, for both of them actually. So I'm just going to finish up the other ones over here. So same thing for the actual trigger finger here. The trigger, I'm going to find it, I'm going to align it, snap it. This is just the locator, the trigger. And select objects. We're going to find the actual trigger joint here. I'm blind. There you are. And again under the locator. There we go. Let's go to the other side. So let's go to the, I think it's back view. Same thing here. We're going to do the same thing for the other ones as well. Doesn't have to be exactly the same size though as the actual locators. You don't really care that much. You just want it to be there. So make sure it's actually aligned to the right proper side. In this case, this is okay. So this is our lock spinner. Assign select object. You find it again. Put it on the actual locator. There we go. Same for this one. I'm going to do the same thing here. Go back view. There we go. New one. So it's just a lot of locators that you want to add, which then of course we're going to actually link to the actual main joint that we're going to have. This is our lock reload mech. And then outliner again, and then the reload mech. There you go. Okay. So the only ones that don't have the actual locator parent are the actual bows, the actual bow itself, and the main joint, and the actual strings, right? So that's it. That's what I want to have. So now we can actually start parenting things together. So this is the main one. So I'm gonna leave these one for now, but I'm gonna grab the locators here. I'm just gonna put it under the main joint. So all the locators should go under the main joint. So these ones as well. Just gonna drag it under there. There we go. So if we now rotate this, you can see that everything starts moving with it. Oh, I've got one actually. Oops. This one should also have a locator over here as well. See, I almost fucked up. Almost. Same thing here. Align it. And this is the locator ammo slot. There we go. This one. Joint ammo slot underneath. And under the main joint. There we go. Okay, so I say this real fast. Don't forget to save once in a while, otherwise you might start crying. So I want to add an IK here. For this is just the standard IK, nothing really that exciting. Just use the RP solver here and just start adding in the actual IKs over here. And then you get this one, for example. See, perfect. Same for the other one as well. The other side here. There we go, and there we go. Okay. Perfect. So I also want to use an IK for this one. Even though it's a single joint, I still want to use it because then I can actually start parenting the IK handle as well to my ammo slot, for example, and the bone itself to the actual object over here. So I'm going to add one here as well. So I'm going to add an IK like this. So the actual IK will be parented to the object over here, so I can now actually move it around. And I still want to add a locator here as well in a little bit. Again, IK and IK. Perfect. Okay, so we can of course parent the joint here underneath the actual IK as well. That's fine. So we can actually try that. So I'm going to grab the IK handle over here. There's IK handle 2, and the joint over here I'm going to put it underneath there. Now I can actually start rotating this. And you can see that it actually starts following the actual object. Now the IK handle for this one over here doesn't move yet because it's right now it's parented to the world. So we kind of want to fix that by parenting to this object over here, right? So the actual locator ammo slide. That's fine. So I'm going to grab this one, number 3, and then ammo slide over here. There we go. So if I now move this one, the object will move, as you can see. And if I move the IK handle over here, you'll actually see that it actually starts moving appropriately, like this. That's perfect. That's what we want to have. So same thing here. We're going to go on under here. So the joint string over here should be under the IK handle. So I'll probably IK handle 1. That's correct. So I'm going to drag it under here, and then IK handle 4. This should also again be under the main sled ammo sled thing on this one over here. So this is like an exercise in logic. Where do I parent my object to what? And if you got that nailed, that's actually not that complicated so far. So again, I'm going to grab this one over here and test it out. You can see that they should move accordingly. If I start grabbing the IK handles here, you should see that it actually starts moving as well. That's perfect. That's what we want to have. But of course there are buts. There are big buts. You can see right now that the joint actually doesn't stretch at all, right? It doesn't stretch. It doesn't do anything. It just stays on the actual scale itself. So the joint here actually ends here. we want it to scale, right? Since it's a string, we want it to be elastic, so we want to make sure that it actually scales properly on the according axis. In this case, it's the x-axis that we want to scale it on. So this is where it gets a little more complicated here. So I'm going to walk you through this. So I'm going to go to my create here, and then I want to create a measure tool and distance tool, one over here. Then I want to start from this one to the actual end of the joint here, over here. And you should see it gets a distance, right? In this case of 1.06, etc. That's perfect. That's what we want to have. But, right, if I now move the IK handle here, you'll see that it doesn't actually change the distance between the actual 2 points, right? So we need to make sure that it's also parented accordingly. So I'm going to grab my locator 2 here in this case, locator 2, and I want to make sure that it's actually under the IK handle of this one, right? So my locator 2 should be child of the IK handle, that one. So if I now move this, you'll see that it actually starts increasing the actual distance of the object. But if I now also grab this one over here, the actual main sled, for example, it doesn't do anything, because you also have to make sure that this object here is again a child of the sled, in this case of this one. I'll grab it now. You'll see that the actual distances start changing appropriately to what they should be. So I'm going to do the same thing here for the other side as well. So create, measure tools, distance tools. Doesn't really matter though where you start, just start somewhere. In this case I'm going to start here and I'm going to end here. Distance should be the same, almost the same. Don't know why, but it's okay probably. Okay, so this again should be child of this IK handle over here. So I'm going to make sure that I just unlock this here because it's really annoying. Okay, so locator 4 should be a child of IK handle 2. This one. So drag it in. There we go. Now grab it again. It should actually start changing. And then locator 3 should be a child of the actual sled, right? Again, so again I'm going to move it under there. There we go. Now you should see that both values start changing accordingly. Perfect. That's what we want to have. Okay, so now we just have to like use that measurement to actually scale our joint appropriately. So I'm going to go to my node editor over here. I'm going to grab it over here, this other window. A little bit smaller for you guys so you can actually see it. I don't know why this is actually there. I'm going to delete this. We don't need it. So what I want to do though is I want to grab the actual distance node itself. So the outline again, we should now have two distance dimensions, these two. I'm going to start with this one over here, so distance 1. I'm going to add it to my actual node. Same thing for my joint as well. The actual joint, I'm going to add it as well. There we go. So we have the actual length of the object, right? We actually have the actual value, the distance over here, and I want to use that to actually scale the object. So what first thing I want to do is I want to add a multiply divide over here, because right now the distance is 1.06, right? But the scale of a joint is set to 1. So first I want to like normalize my distance. I'm going to grab a multiply divide node. Oh, different window. Multiply divide. This one. Just going to add it. I think it's already there. This one over here. And I want to plug in my distance into my actual node. So input 1 x. There you go. I click on the node right now. You see that over here it now says 106.8.5 or 805, because my scene is in meters, but the nodes always operate in centimeters, right? It's really annoying. So I'm going to use the same value over here, right? So 106.805, because this value divided by this value is 1. Make sure that you set it to divide, otherwise you get a really big ass joint, and I kind of don't want that. So make sure that you set this to divide. Then we grab the output x in this case, and I want to plug it into my scale x. That's it. So if I now grab my IK handle again here, we should now see that the actual joint scales appropriately. See, it doesn't, the end here doesn't move anymore. It's perfectly aligned with the actual object. So if I now check out here as well, you should see that it scales now 1.2. That's exactly what you want to do, and that's how to actually make a joint stretch based on a certain distance. So same thing here. I'm going to grab my distance dimensions, so this one over here, and I'm going to grab my joint, those two, and I'm going to add them to my node. I'm going to unfold this a little bit so we can actually see if I got the proper one. I do not. It's the other one. It's this one. distance. Again, I'm going to add a multiply divide node. Multiply divide, close it. I'm going to plug in my distance here into my input X or Y or Z, doesn't really matter. As long as you are consistent, doesn't really matter. Again, same here, so I use the same value here, 1.6781. Make sure we set it to divide, and then at output, we're actually going to plug it into our scale X. Let's close this, then we can actually start checking it again, and actually scales appropriately. If we now move the actual slat thingy over here, we shall see it does it perfect. I can now like completely stretch it out, and the joints still have, they still cover the entire part of the actual object. That's exactly what we want to have. Amazing. So then we have this, right? We also want to be able to move everything else. Now, in two ways of doing this, you can actually just parent the actual joints. Will work probably okay, or we can actually start using the actual controllers here. Let's just check it out for a second. So I'm gonna grab these two. I'm just gonna plug it into my joint ball here. Will this work? Oh, wrong one. Sorry. These two under my joint main. And you can see though it actually it creates two new joints here. That's kind of what I don't want to have. I think it's really annoying. But you can see you also start getting issues here that the IK handles actually stop moving altogether. So I'm not going to do this. I'm going to use the extra controller for this. It's a little bit easier in my opinion. So let's start making them. So I'm going to make a new channel here. I'm going to call it control. I'm going to give it a nice little color here. I'm going to show you a new trick as well. So I want to add like a spherical control over here. So I'm going to create a curve. Just going to move it a little bit. Doesn't really matter where though. Set this a bit more properly to 2. So what I want to do is I want to create this like a 90 degrees and a third one as well with also 90 degrees like this. Now I actually want to merge these objects together so they are one single object. You can actually just turn it into a group, but that means you can still grab the individual objects, right? Which I find really annoying. So I'll show you. If I group this, I can still select the actual individual ones. I don't want to do this. I want them to be like one single object. So I'm going to grab them, all 3 of them. I'm going to get to my outliner over here. I'm going to turn on shapes. Make sure you turn on shapes over here. So I can now see you actually get actual shape here. There you go. Next up, I want to create a new null object or an empty group. So just hit Ctrl D. So create group, empty group. It's a null object. I'm going to grab these, and actually I'm going to grab my parent and my actual null shapes, my shapes. In my mail script over here, I'm going to type parent.r.r.s. Oh, sorry, other way around. This two, then the group. Then you can hit enter. And I didn't freeze my transformations, as you can see, right? So this is why it fucks up. So I'm going to undo this. So make sure you do that first. Grab them all. Freeze transformations, otherwise it doesn't work. So shape, null object, parent. Okay, I'm going to grab these empty groups now. I'm going to just delete them. I'm going to turn off shapes. Now we have a single object here that you can't click on the actual individual circles anymore. It's just now a single mesh, single object. So I'm going to go to my center pivot here, so make sure I actually align properly. And then we have our first control done, which actually looks pretty good. So I'm going to call this left control. What do we call this? Bow, right? Okay. I'm going to scale it down a lot. It's way too big. I'm going to align it with my IK handle over here, or my joint. There we go. Perfect. First one done. What does this actually do? Oh yeah, that's that one. Let's add these as well to my rigging layer. There we go. Okay. So, do I like it? Yep. Good enough. Freeze transformations. I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. And again, I'm gonna align it with this one. I'm just gonna call this R. Control ball. Again, freeze transformations. Otherwise, you fuck up everything. We don't want that. So, yeah. I'm gonna add these to my controller layer. Don't forget to save once in a while. Okay, this one control done, or two controls already done. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm turn on my geo here for my actual rotating. I'm just gonna create a circle. Gonna align it properly. Let's just do 90 degrees here. Gonna shrink it a lot, and I'm gonna align it again with my actual joint over here. So front view. Let's do that one. Let's do not that one. Let's turn off geo for a second. There we go. I'm gonna do like halfway the object itself, so I can nice and easily grab it. There we go. And again, freeze transformations. Don't forget that. Super important. This control ammo. Perfect. Again, add it to the actual profit layer. There we go. Same thing here. I'm gonna create a new circle over here. Gonna rotate on this direction for a change, 90 degrees. This is the easy part, but this is just creating circles. Not really that complicated. Just grab it. Make sure you align it properly. Make it a lot smaller. Make sure it's actually visible though from the actual viewport. And that's perfect actually. I'll keep it like this. Freeze transformations left. Control spinner. Again, add it to the selection. And same, I'm just going to duplicate it. Again, I'm going to align with the actual joint. And I'm going to call it right. Control spinner. Nope. And I got a text message. Turn it off real fast. There we go. Okay. So what else do we need to do? We need to add one here as well. So I'm going to show you a little trick as well, because right now I don't want to keep on using circles. I also want to add like a rectangles. I'm going to create a circle, strangely enough, and I'm going to turn it to degree to linear and 4 sections. I'm going to rotate it on the y-axis for 45 degrees. Freeze rotations, and then we get a nice square in this case. Simple trick, but actually works wonders. Same thing here. I'm going to make it smaller. I'm going to scale it up, make it a little bit more like an actual rectangle. Line it with my joint over here. So a little bit bigger. Yeah, something like this. A little bit bigger. There we go. So first thing I want to do is I just want to have it aligned okay with the actual object itself. So I'm gonna go to my top view here. I'm gonna find my object here. In this case, it's this object over here. So I'm gonna make sure it's visible. The next step I want to do is I want to align my pivot point with the actual joint. So I'm gonna press D on the keyboard, then you're just gonna snap it. Now we can actually just rotate on this axis. That's what I want. So D is actually change the actual pivot point of any object in Maya, and this would be left control reload mech, and also add to the layer. Again, I'm just gonna duplicate this. Gonna turn off geo for a second here so I can snap it to my actual joints. This is gonna be right. There we go. Perfect. So now if I turn on the joints, you can see we actually starting to come together pretty nice. We also get like all kinds of objects already here. But I'm missing a few, like one of them here for the actual sled and the main controller that we're going to use for everything. So I'm going to start here with the actual main, and I'm going to use a polycube, right? I'm just going to create a cube here. That's going to be my control, right? But in my attribute editor, I'm going to go to my shape, and I'm going to go to my, what was it? Oh yeah, object display, and then overrides, drawing overrides. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to disable shading, so you get this nice wireframe object. I kind of like it that way. Of course, you can use also circle. It's up to you. There are no laws for creating what you want to do, so I'm just going to align it somewhere, like here-ish. Let's put it here. Doesn't matter where it is exactly, just want to make sure that's roughly in the area of the actual object that it should control. In this case, like here. Snap it. There we go. Where are? Oh, Jesus Christ, that's the wrong one. There. It's like finding where do you belong. You should be there, I think. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. That's also not correct. God damn it. There, you should be there. Why is that joint all the way over here? That's not correct. The ammo sled, this one, should be here. Oh, I stretched it back. That's my bad. Oh, that's a little bit stupid of me. You should be, I think this is okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. I fucked it up. Okay, there we go. Let's make sure that it actually fits in the actual area that it needs to be in. And again, it doesn't really matter though, the pivot point. I'm just going to change that in a way. So I'm going to align it a little bit. Then I'm going to see if it actually fits. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. A little bigger so it sticks out. There we go. And again, if you want, we can actually change the pivot point, but it doesn't really matter though, because we're only going to use like back and forth motion, so it's fine. Again, freeze transformations over here. Did I do everything else as well? I did not. Freeze transformations. Super easy to forget if you don't pay attention to it. Same thing here. So again, select objects. There we go. This is going to be the controller sled. There we go. Then of course I need a big one for everything else. I'm going to create a giant cube. Actually, it doesn't have to be that big. As long as you can see it clearly, then it's all good pretty much. This one's fine. I'm going to make sure it's like, let's do 3 here. 2.5, 0.6. There we go. Covers it all, I think. Yep. Eesh. Let's do it like this. Maybe a little bit less. Okay, there we go. Again, in my attribute editor, in my drawing overrides, I'm going to enable overrides, going to turn off shading, so we only get the wireframe that we want, and then we can go back here. Freeze transformations, add it to the actual object. Let's turn off rig for a second. Then you get all the controls that we need. That's perfect. We still need to align this though with the actual joint, so my pivot point here should be on the actual joint, right? So I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to turn off geo for a second. There we go. So my object now here rotates around this. That's what I want to have, right? Okay. Cool. So now it's just a question of like parenting or a parent constraining the proper IK handles to the actual control over here. So this IK handle for a second. This one. This should be a constraint to the actual control over here. So I'm going to go back to my outliner here. IK handle 2. This one. IK handle 2. Constraint. Parent constrain it. So now I've grabbed this plate ball over here. You can see that actually does everything perfect. Same for the other one here. That will be IK handle 1 probably, and then the right control ball. So first the controller, then the IK handle constraint, parent constrain it. Perfect. Okay. So we can now actually grab these two and actually make it a child of the actual main object here. So I'm going to call this my main controller. I should call this as well main. Let's make this child here real fast, and then we can actually put it in here. There we go. And now we can see we can actually start controlling these objects. Perfect. That's what we want to have. This should also be like parented to something at some point, but I'll show you in a little bit. So we can now move this. I want that. It's perfect. Let's address as well. So this controller here should be to this one, to this actual locator. So I'm going to grab this one. Locator. I'm gonna go for an orient constraint, so now I can just rotate this around. You see, you actually get a nice looking thing over here. Again, we're gonna grab this, make sure it's actually under the main object. There we go. This one, and also the locator, same thing here. Constraint, orient constraint. Can now rotate it. Perfect. Main, control mech. Same thing here with the actual this object over here. So this one, and then the actual locator, orient constraint again. Perfect. Under main. There we go. Let's go to the other side. This bad boy and this bad boy. Constraint, orient constraint. Make sure you test everything before you actually child this. That makes sense. Then this one and that one. main as well. So if you now check it out, we should see everything starts moving except for this one over here. We can actually just probably make it into parent constraint. Actually, we should turn it into parent constraint. Parent constraint. Probably a little bit better. Yeah, that's better. Okay, my bad. So this one should be a parent constraint. Sorry, not an origin constraint. This one as well, origin constraint, parent constraint. You can always change them in the end, of course, doesn't really matter. It's more like a checking out, okay, does everything actually move? It does move. Okay, so this should also then be, actually let's do this one differently. We can also just orient on the actual joint if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. You can also say, I want to orient constrain this on the actual joint. That will still, it will still rotate, right? But this one is still the actual controlling of the object. But doesn't work for some reason. That's annoying. Okay, let's just go all the way and just do just parent constraint this. It's fine. Okay. Everything is moving except for the actual bow, which is fine. This one should also be parent constrained to that one, constraint, parent constraint. There we go. So now move this, everything is moving except for the main joint, of course, which I didn't do anything with yet. This one, joint main. So this one, and then the actual joint, constraint, parent constraint. Perfect, right? Perfect. So I'm going to grab these. Joint, I'm going to grab this one here. I'm going to make it a child. Same one here. Child, and then parent, and then you just hit P. And now we move everything. Everything should actually move. Perfect. See, everything's moving where you want it to move. Let's turn on rig for a second here, and then we get all the fancy stuff here. This one here, actually, I kind of want to put it in my rig layer, so it's nice and clean overview. Same for the IK here. This IK here as well. It's just annoying. It's just blocking my view. I can't actually click on it. That's annoying. IK handle. There we go. Hey, come on. Oh. There you go. Okay. So you can't see anything, of course. That makes sense. So, pretty easy rig-ish, right? The IK handles, we'll just leave it for now. We just leave them here. You can, of course, make a null object, put it in if you want to be like super organized, but for this case, it's fine. So I'm going to go to my select all by type joints. I'm going to grab my actual mesh over here. Skin, bind skin. There we go. And now we should be able to actually move this. See? There you go. This is awful. That's fine. It's really bad. Wow. That's really bad. Okay, so it's just a matter of weight painting. So I'm going to grab my mesh itself. I'm going to turn this one off for a second. I'm going to go to my face here. I'm going to just double click on all of it, and then just go to then hold Control, right click, two vertices, paint weight paint thing, and then just flood it with a value of 1. Make sure it's set to replace, and then you can already see it actually starts behaving properly again. So you can see. You have to do the same for everything else. It's just a matter of flooding the objects that you actually want. There's no like soft deformation here except for the actual bow itself. Everything else you can just flood it, done. That's it. Same for this one over here, this should also be flooded as well. This one here as well. This one as well. Again, flood this. Done. This should all be under the ammo retainer. This one, again, just flood it. That's it. Now test out as well if you want to. So you can actually start seeing it start loading properly. This one should also be on the main flood. They were already almost done. See, that's actually how simple it actually is. Everything moves. Okay, the wires. Okay, that needs to be fixed, of course. Don't know why it's doing this. It's super annoying. It's just a display bug. It's not actually doing anything, but yeah. I'm just gonna double click this real fast. Just isolate selection here, Shift I. So I'm gonna grab this one over here. This side again to vertices. Well, it already is vertices, of course. Then we're gonna find the actual string. Right string, flood it. Vertex mode, the other side. Left string, flood it. There we go. Don't know if I've actually already done this one. See, now you get this nice. This should also be fixed though, but yeah. The rest is just flooding the actual objects here. It's not that difficult. I'm not going to show how to do this the rest of it because it's just flooding the vertices with a certain value, but that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe I'll do a weapon animation video next time. I'll have to see you, but for now I'll say thanks for watching and I'll see you again soon.